We do offer a filter with two different sizes of nipples on it, for 5/16 or 3/8. Now the trick is, you don't want to try and take a 5/16 fuel line and shove it on the carburetor as hard as you can and try and get it on there. All you're doing is ballooning this out, and you're just asking for a fuel leak. Fuel leak and a hot exhaust don't mix real good. You're asking for a barbecue. So make sure you're using the right size fuel lines for your vehicle. Now this car is equipped with a 3/8 steel fuel line coming from the fuel pump. So we selected a 3/8 ferrule fitting that's supplied in the kit. And basically these are just a nipple for the rubber fuel line to attach to and a crush sleeve inside that seals around the steel fuel line. So we start by taking the nut and ferrule assembly, slipping it over the steel fuel line. Make sure it's on good. Then we simply screw in the fitting. And then give it a good cinch down. And that'll prevent any leaks. Now that's ready to go. Now our Edelbrock carburetors come with a fuel fitting, comes straight out the side. This is standard equipment. And we can take the fuel line and stick it on here. Just because we give you 2 or 3 feet of fuel line doesn't need to use all of it. So let's cut it to size, and we're going to do something a little more than this. Rather than use this fitting, we offer what we call a banjo fitting. It's a 90-degree banjo fitting, number 8089. And what this does is it lets us reroute the fuel line to a little better angle. Now what comes in the kit is a banjo fitting and a couple of gaskets. So what we're going to do is place a gasket on one side, put the fitting on, and place the second gasket on the other side. Now it's ready to install. And we'll just give that a little cinch. You don't want to over tighten these. Just good and snug. It's plenty fine. Now we'll be able to route the fuel line up underneath and straight up in. So we're going to cut it to size. Install a new clamp. Put it on and give it a tighten. Now you want to be sure that your fuel line doesn't interfere with any linkages over here. Ours goes underneath and around and doesn't interfere with anything. So that's all nice and routed really good. Something very important about installing a new carburetor, our Edelbrock carburetors do not have built-in fuel filters. Some OEM carburetors and even some aftermarket carburetors have filters built in. And I can't stress enough how important a fuel filter is. You've got old rust scale in the gas tank, you've got old fuel lines, sometimes they rust, sometimes the neoprene lines disintegrate and little pieces come out. And you really need to filter that stuff out, because if it gets in the carburetor, it'll cause the needle and seats inside to get clogged up, and the fuel won't be able to shut off, and it just starts flooding all over the place. So we really need to install a good fuel filter. Now mind you, before we start, fuel filters are directional. So if you look on the end of it, it'll say in on one side, and there's nothing on the other. So it lets you know that this side is the inlet. So when we place it in there, we want to be sure that the fuel pump is flowing this way to the carburetor.